While working at the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam, I witnessed a moment of profound ignorance. After the deeply moving tour, a young American man asked the guide, "So, if it was so cramped and they were hiding for so long, why didn't they just order takeout?" There was a stunned, horrified silence. I was managing a restaurant in a small town in Tuscany. An American couple came in and ordered the bistecca alla fiorentina, a famous local steak served very rare. I explained this to them, but they insisted. When the beautiful, perfectly cooked steak arrived, the man called me over. "This is raw," he said. "Take it back and cook it until it's well done. And bring us some A1 sauce." I politely explained we didn't have A1 sauce and the chef would refuse to destroy such a fine piece of meat. They accused me of being a food snob and left a 1-star review about our dangerous, undercooked food. Or maybe how many football fields. I did the mental math and told him it was just under 2 miles. He nodded as if I had finally started speaking sense. "See? Why can't you guys just use the normal system? It would make everything so much less confusing for everyone." The guide, with incredible patience, quietly said, "Sir, ordering food would have revealed their location to the people trying to kill them." The man just shrugged, completely missing the gravity of his own question. I saw an American family get incredibly frustrated in a German supermarket. They stood at the checkout as the cashier scanned their items at lightning speed, pushing them down the slide. The couple just stared, not bagging anything. A long line formed. The cashier said something in German, gesturing for them to bag their items. The wife snapped, "This is terrible service. Why aren't you bagging our groceries for us? What do we pay you for?" They seemed to think the cashier's efficiency was a personal attack on them. My friend is a tour guide in Rome. He had an American who, upon seeing the Pantheon, asked, "Okay, this is a nice dome, but have you seen the one on the Epcot ball in Disney World? It's way more impressive, and you can go on a ride inside." My friend had to take a deep breath and explain that this particular dome was a revolutionary architectural marvel that had stood for nearly 2,000 years. Not a theme park attraction built in the 1980s. The tourist was unconvinced. In a traditional Japanese onsen, there are strict rules of etiquette, the most important being that you must wash thoroughly before entering the communal bath. I watched an American man completely ignore the washing stations, walk straight to the pristine hot spring, and jump in with a loud "Cannonball!" The elderly Japanese men in the bath stared in silent, collective horror before getting out at once. The man seemed proud of himself, as if he'd just livened up a boring party. I was a tour guide at a wildlife sanctuary in Australia. An American tourist on my tour was complaining nonstop about the heat and the insects. He then asked me, with a completely straight face, "So, which enclosure has the koalas that don't have chlamydia?" I only want to take pictures with the clean ones. I had to take a moment before I could explain the complexities of the disease in the wild koala population, and that it's not a matter of them being clean or dirty. He just shook his head and said, "Sounds like a failure of wildlife management to me." I was in a pub in rural Ireland, listening to a traditional music session. It was beautiful and soulful. In the middle of a haunting fiddle solo, an American tourist shouted, "Play Freebird!" The musician stopped. The entire pub turned to look at him. He just grinned, thinking he was being funny. The lead musician just shook his head, said, "Wrong country, mate," and they started a different song. The tourist spent the rest of the night complaining to his wife that the band had no sense of humor. I was on a train from Paris to Nice. An American woman was speaking loudly on her phone, complaining to someone back home. "The food is so rich. I can't find a decent salad with ranch dressing anywhere, and everything is so small. The hotel room, the cars, even the Coke bottles are tiny. It's like they do it on purpose to annoy you. I can't wait to get back to Texas where everything is the right size." She said this while staring out the window at the beautiful French countryside, completely unimpressed. At a winery in Bordeaux, France, the sommelier was leading a tasting of a very expensive, aged Grand Cru. After a detailed explanation of the wine's terroir and notes, an American woman took a sip, made a face, and said, "It's a little bitter." She then pulled a packet of sugar from her purse and stirred it into her glass. The sommelier looked like he had witnessed a murder. He was speechless for a full minute before quietly walking away from the table. I overheard a conversation at a cafe in Madrid. An American was complaining to his friend about the Spanish lifestyle. "I don't get this whole siesta thing. We tried to go shopping at 3 p.m. and everything was closed." Everything! How does an economy even function when everyone takes a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day? It's just lazy. In America, we'd be open 24/7 to make that money. He had zero concept of work-life balance or cultural tradition. I was on a flight to Bangkok. The American sitting next to me was looking at a travel guide. He turned to me and asked, "Do you know if they have elephants in the city?" "I want to ride one from my hotel to the palace." I had to gently explain that Bangkok is a sprawling modern metropolis of 10 million people, not a jungle village, and that elephant taxis are, shockingly, not a thing. He looked genuinely disappointed, as if I'd ruined his entire image of the country. A young American backpacker in a hostel in Prague was telling everyone how he haggled for a better price on his beer at a local pub. He proudly explained, "I just told the bartender I'd give him $2 instead of the 50 koruna. He looked confused, so I just put the dollars on the bar and told him it was a good deal for him. He didn't understand that he had massively underpaid and that the bartender was likely too shocked by his audacity to argue. While visiting the Tower of London, a tourist asked the beefeater guide, "So all these crown jewels are fake, right? Like, the real ones are kept in a vault in America for safekeeping?" The guide, a man who was the very definition of British stoicism, simply stared at him and said, "Sir, I can assure you, the United Kingdom is perfectly capable of guarding its own treasures, and these are most certainly real." The man still looked skeptical. "I've turned the thermostat all the way up and it's still freezing in my room." I went up to check and found he had the thermostat set to 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but had left the window wide open to get some of that fresh mountain air. I had to explain that a heater cannot overcome the sub-zero Arctic wind. I worked at a hotel in Iceland during the winter. A guest from California called the front desk at 2 a.m., furious. "Your heating is broken." "I'm not paying you. This is for my Instagram. It's good exposure for you. You should be thanking me for making your monkey famous." She then tried to take the picture anyway, and was shocked when the man covered his monkey's face and walked away. In a crowded market in Marrakesh, an American woman was trying to take a photo of a man with his trained monkey. The man indicated he expected a small payment. As this was his livelihood, she became indignant. I was in a restaurant in southern Italy where the service is famously relaxed. An American family was getting visibly agitated. The father finally flagged down the waiter and said, "Look, we've been here for almost 2 hours. In the States, we'd have been in and out in 45 minutes. Can you just bring the check so we can leave?" The waiter smiled warmly and replied, "But sir, why would you want to rush? You are on holiday, with your beautiful family. The night is for enjoying." The concept was utterly foreign to them. At a performance of the Vienna State Opera, a couple in front of me were talking throughout the first act. During the intermission, the Austrian woman next to them politely asked if they could be quieter. The American husband replied, "Hey, we paid for these tickets, just like you. If we want to talk about the show, we can. It's called freedom of speech." He seemed to believe his rights as an American superseded the etiquette of every opera house on the planet. A tourist on a guided tour of the Scottish Highlands asked the guide, "Why do you guys still have queens and princes and all that? Didn't you see what we did in 1776?